بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين.
And then
Head of delegation from African countries, welcome to this session for African ministers to discuss road safety issues in Africa, but also to be agree and to discuss any comment about Marrakesh Declaration. We have an agenda, and in this agenda we will have a formal speech of Honorable Minister Abdessamad Kayour, Minister of Transport and Logistics, Mr. Jean Todt, United Nations Secretary General, Specially Envoy for Road Safety, and then we will continue about an introduction of objectives and format of discussion by Eric Ngwangwa from African Union Commission. And then we will continue about African Road Safety Charter and the emergency of the African Road Safety Observatory with our colleague from EUC, David Nyonsinga. And then we will welcome Binta Sako from the World Health Organization Regional Office for Africa to present the situation of road safety in Africa. And then I will present the main content of Marrakesh Declaration concerning Africa. And then we will open the floor for discussion, and we will conclude with some closing remark from my minister, Mr. Abdessamad Kayour, Minister of Transport and Logistics, and Etienne Krug from WHO. We are very pleased to have all of you here ahead to the 4th Global Ministerial Conference on Road Safety. It will be held for the first time in Africa, and as African we are, we have to take this opportunity to improve our situation, which is not, unfortunately, when it comes to road safety. To start, I am very pleased to give the floor to my minister, Mr. Abdessamad Kayour, Minister of Transport and Logistics. Honorable Ministers, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Boulajoul. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Mon cher ami Jean Todt.
Dear friend Jean Todt, Mr. Secretary General, Mr. Eric Ntanger-Gerwa, Mr. Boulajoul, Excellencies, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, Ministers of Transport, Excellencies, Ministers of Transport of African and different countries, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to welcome you here to the 4th edition of the conference, World Ministerial Conference on Road Safety, here in Marrakesh, which is held under the high patronage of His Majesty Mohammed VI. May God assist him and glorify him. We are particularly proud to welcome you here in Morocco, Morocco that is your second country, and which is honored to share with you the wealth of our culture. We wish you a good stay in Morocco and a successful conference. Excellencies, road accidents are a major health problem at the level of ultimate causing the deaths of 250,000 deaths per year. Africa represents 19% of the mortality rate worldwide, although it represents only 15% of the world population and only has 3% of the world car fleet. Since 2010, the number of deaths due to accidents has increased by 17%. The only region of the World Health Organization which has this increase in deaths. However, 17% of the countries have reduced the number of deaths, reaching up to 40% for certain countries. Those are efforts that we have to applaud and encourage, and we have to encourage the other African chieftains to get inspiration from these successful stories. The road death rate is disproportionate between men and women for the age group between 15 to 70 years old. In Africa, road users, vulnerable road users such as motorcyclists, cyclists, as well as pedestrians represent half of the death rates of the deaths in Africa. This meeting, this high-level political meeting on road safety is an opportunity for us, for all of us, to African ministers in charge of the management of the transport issues and road safety issues. This is an opportunity for us to look at the challenges that we have in Africa, road safety, and to try and examine concrete solutions to speed up the progress, especially in terms of governments, funding, and the role of the African political leadership. This session is going to enable us to highlight the possibilities of integrating road security, road safety in our policies, in our infrastructure plans, in alignment with road safety measures with aligning them with Sustainable Development Goals and road safety for 2021-2030. I would like to highlight here that we would like to guarantee a broad adoption of the Charter of the African Union for Road Safety, which proposes a framework for harmonized policies and responsibilities for policies at the level of the continent. The signature and the ratification of this Charter for road safety is a real impediment for the implementation of a very important project for our continent. It is about the project of the African Observatory for Road Safety, the creation which depends on the ratification of this charter, at least by 15 member states. There are only 13 countries so far likely to be signatory countries. This is an opportunity for us to try and ratify this, have the ratifications of other member states. This conference, the World Ministerial Conference for Road Safety, is an opportunity for us to develop cooperation between institutions, special agencies of African countries. In this framework, the Royal Kingdom of Morocco offers its contribution to organize a meeting for the implementation of the Marrakesh Declaration. The Kingdom of Morocco is ready to share its experience in terms of road safety with the agency of NARSA, the National Agency for Road Safety, the director of which is Mr. Lajoul. Our experience, I think, is we can make our experience available to all our friend countries in the framework of cooperation, mutual visits. We're open to all your suggestions. On the other hand, the Marrakesh Conference is an opportunity for us, for our countries, in order to make sure that we work on road safety in our countries, because the road safety problems in Africa have to have African solutions, adapted African solutions. By conclusion, I would like to reiterate my thanks to all of you for your participation in this conference. You are welcome in your second country, the Kingdom of Morocco, and more particularly in this city, Marrakesh, which is at the crossroad of civilizations, and I thank you for your attention.
Merci, Monsieur le Ministre.
Mr. Excellency, for this presentation and this welcome words. Thank for all our friends, ministers and heads of African delegations. The floor now to His Excellency Mr. Jean Todt, the Special Envoy of the Secretary General of the United Nations for this.
Thank you, Moderator. Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear friends. I'm pleased to join you today for this critical discussion on advancing road safety in Africa. First of all, my gratitude goes to His Majesty King Mohammed VI for patronage of this conference, to my good friend, the Minister of Transport, Abdessamad Kayou, and to all the Kingdom of Morocco for hosting this meeting, and also to the African Union for its dedication to addressing this urgent challenge. I could not agree more with the former comment from my colleague, Minister of Transport, about the situation in Africa. And as the UN Secretary General Special Envoy for Road Safety, Africa remains a top priority. As some of you may know, I've visited many African countries to engage and with you and your respective government officials, raising awareness on road safety performance, an area where Africa regrettably records the highest fatality rates with a significant increase over the past decades. Encouragingly, I've also witnessed some strong commitment for a change. From Cape Town to Kigali to Nairobi, I've collaborated with governments and the private sector to introduce, in Rwanda's case, mandate UN standard motorcycle helmets ventilated below $20. In over 10 countries, including Côte d'Ivoire, Zimbabwe, I have partnered with you to launch the UN GC-DECO Global Road Safety Campaign, engaging over 16 international celebrities, including African icons like Didier Drogba or Youssou N'Dour, influencing thousands of young people to treat safety as a priority. Through the group of friends of the Special Envoy for Road Safety, which consists of over 15 African heads of state and other leaders, I remain fully committed to working with Africa, particularly in protecting vulnerable groups like young people, motorcyclists, and pedestrians. Additionally, the government of Eswatini is hosting the third Kofi Annan Award for Road Safety, supported by my office, UNECA, and the Kofi Annan Foundation, which recognize innovative solutions. I encourage all African nations to participate in the upcoming awards in Eswatini on April 14 and 15, 2025. This initiative demonstrates Africa's potential to lead road safety transformation. However, further action is needed, particularly in three key areas. Governance. The African Union Charter for Road Safety is a landmark step toward harmonizing policies, strengthening accountabilities, and integrating road safety into transport planning. Yet, it is still pending final signatories for full adoption. I also urge African nations to join the UN Road Safety Conventions. Since my appointment in 2015, I've succeeded in having 55 new contracting parties to 7 legal instruments. But we need more participants in Africa, and I do count on you. On top of this, African leadership must be present in global road safety discussions. At this ministerial, the UN General Assembly, the upcoming high-level meeting in 2026, and platforms like the UN Road Safety Fund, where Africa's advisory board seat remains still vacant. Financing. Road crashes cost African economies up to 5% of the GDP annually. Funds that should drive development, but not loss. While the refilling of the UN Road Safety Fund this week is a positive step, the real progress lies in sustainable domestic financing. Governments must allocate substantial national budget to road safety strategies and action plans, ensuring road safety agencies have the authority and resources to act. Changing the narrative, the media plays a crucial role in shifting public perception. A recent analysis of Southern African news reports found only 7% mentioned road safety policies and only 14% reference existing laws. Worse, more than half described crashes as accidents, obscuring their preventable nature. We must support journalists and communicators to tell the full story, one grounded in data, science, and solutions. Ministers, Excellencies, we are at the halfway point of the second decade of action for road safety, yet far from our goal of halving road deaths by 2030. This is not a moment for discouragement, but for renewed commitment for a strong action. Let me leave you with this thought. Rather than viewing Africa as a place where solutions are harder to implement, see it as a unique opportunity, a chance to build something transformative from the ground up. This continent has the potential, and I am sure the desire, to lead by example and inspire the whole world. I count on you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jean-Claude. And now we will continue with Eric, my dear friend Eric from EUC, to continue to share with me the moderation of this session. The floor is yours, Eric.
Thank you very much, Benacel. Excellency, Minister of Transport and Logistics of Morocco, Your Excellency, UN Special Secretary General, Special Envoy for Road Safety, I'm Eric Nagengerwa, Head of Transport and Mobility Division, African Union Commission. I stand in for Dr. Amani Abu Zaid, Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy, who was not able to be with us, but requested me to represent her, but also to inform you that she will be with us in the main conference opening ceremony tomorrow. Let me, before I highlight our next session objectives, mention that the African Union Commission is, first of all, very grateful for the Kingdom of Morocco for hosting this first Global Road Safety Conference, the first time in Africa. We are very proud. We are very happy to be here with you. We are very happy to be in this journey on transforming the narrative on road safety in Africa. Excellencies, Ministers, the AUC has been working with the member states to advance road safety in various areas. The African Road Safety Action Plan for the decade 2021-2030, which was adopted and in line with the Global Action Plan, is now reaching its midterm review time. This is 2025. We are very grateful for our partners, starting from UNECA, WHO, Africa Transport Policy Program, and others who have been with us for the last years to try to implement this action plan in its various support areas. The Kingdom of Morocco in particular has been very, very supportive in the sense of establishing the African Road Safety Observatory, and Kingdom of Morocco has been hosting many technical meetings on road safety. We are very grateful, we are very proud, and we count on the Kingdom of Morocco to continue to share the experience. Two major achievements have been done at the African Union Commission, as it was explained. The Africa Road Safety Charter, which requires 15 ratification for it to enter into force. We have been working with member states closely to have these ratifications conclude, but we are very confident that looking at the stages where countries have gone, in a few months we'll be able to have this charter enter into force. And as Honorable Minister mentioned, this event will give us an opportunity to agree on the steps that are remaining to have this. But more importantly, in this session, we want to see, once this charter enters into force, what happens in terms of transforming the narrative for road safety. So we want to see some critical actions for us to advance road safety in Africa. So this session, the main objective is going to be to emphasize how the African Charter of Road Safety can serve as a framework for coordinated national action, ensuring that road safety is integrated into broader transport and development planning from the outset. In addition to that, it showcases current and recent outputs and initiatives of the African Road Safety Observatory. And, Your Excellency Ministers, we expect from you to have a realistic exchange and ideas on how and the role of multilateral development agencies can play in supporting our initiatives, as well as the mechanisms for stronger accountability for cross-sectoral collaboration. You know that road safety is a cross-sectoral collaboration. We need health, we need many other sectors, we need digitalization, we need many other actors into this. We need enforcement, so we need your ideas, and as a minister was saying, we need also to establish that platform of exchanging the best practices. Countries are doing well. We need to learn from each other within our own region and be able to advance. Without taking too long, let me just proceed to two presentations that are going to help us to understand the main, our main objective in terms of advancing road safety in Africa. So we'll have the first presentation from David Nyonsenga from African Union Commission, who is going to talk about African Road Safety Charter and emergency of the African Road Safety Observatory. David, you have the floor.
Maybe Eric, as we allow a few minutes to project the presentation. Okay, Your Excellency, thank you for this opportunity. On behalf of AUC, much has been said. Ours is just to present you the status of Road Safety Charter. The Road Safety Charter was next slide, please. Okay. This basically is the high figure, a picture which was provided by our Excellence Minister of Morocco. So look at the reality and the number of vehicles we have. It's not proportional of the rate of road accident and the fatality, particularly in Africa. So not only the problem, so these triggered the head of states to take the road safety as a priority for the continent. And in 2016, our head of states just declared a charter for road safety as a continental framework just to guide us in taking the road safety matter at the next level. So this is the main objective of the African Road Safety Charter. Basically, is the policy framework, because as you know, African Union is there just to guide the policy framework and the harmonizing the intervention and initiative at country level so that we have an improved status of the sector, but also the charter to support as a reference for advocacy tool at the continental level in short term as a basis. So we have 6 objectives of the charter, but as you can see, it's just to enable to have a comprehensive road safety policy at country level so that we come from continents, but at the country level, we have one voice and one orientation. And then also is a tool to facilitate the speed up of implementation at a different block, being at a regional level and also at a national level. Not only on that, so to facilitate in terms of our investment, being in infrastructure, being in terms of regulatory, but also being engaging the private sector. I'm happy that His Excellency, the envoy of Secretary General, have highlighting different initiatives we have been doing in different countries, Rwanda, Kenya, and so forth. for this charter to be into force, that is where we really stand a little bit to push, and I will call our appeal to Your Excellency Ministers. So we have already a 2022 signature. The framework of our continent for a charter as to be into force, we need 15 countries to ratify. So far we have only 13 countries. So as we can see on the map, the darker blue, it highlights the country which ratified the charter. And then the light blue, it highlights country which are already the signatory, but depending only to ratify. So, Your Excellency, as you are here, we have been working closely with your technical team, but this is a big appeal as the ratification send a big message on the commitment of the continent in terms of road safety, because this is the tool, this is the basis of everything. But for pending this ratification, so we are grateful for our Council of Ministers, for which you represent, Honorable Minister, because looking at the way we have the picture, a distorted picture of the road safety in our continent, in terms of data we collect and the estimate we have, there is this appeal just to have an observatory which can facilitate us in having an harmonized data, and also have a sense, a common sense or a common approach in terms of collecting those data. This is becoming realistic and to provide us a basis to improve our way of doing the road safety. So to this, we are grateful for the Council of Ministers at STC in 2017 that they allow to temporarily have an observatory. But again, we are here to just appeal, because for this observatory to be fully into force, we need this charter to be ratified. So it will enable us to foster the cooperation across countries, but also it will provide a robust political and technical forum to advance policy and all different initiatives. But not only that, to support in the mobilizing funds and the financing for road safety. So it's a critical for our own interests that we ratify this to unlock all the potential in place just to curb this alarming status of our continent. Pending the legality, the legal and everything, we are also grateful that Morocco chaired this Africa Road Safety Observatory, and African Union has agreed to host it for now, pending that your respective country, Honorable Minister, ratify the charter. So far, answer this observatory was put in place, an interim at the African Union Commission. So a number of activities has been done, but allow me to repeat what has been stated by our lead, Mr. Eric. So this activity is a fruit of a continental collaboration from WHO, from SSATP, for which we are very, very grateful, because especially in a number of the report to providing the status report of the situation in Africa. So without much overdue, so one request is just on the appeal, just for ratification of this charter, because with this charter being ratified by your respective country, it provides a basis to establish fully the observatory, which is now depending on this charter, but also it provides a tool to mobilize being all the resources necessary needed in order to implement our continental plan, which Eric has highlighted, we call the Road Action Plan for decade 2021 and 2030, which is aligned with a UN goal. And the purpose of it is just to align all our effort to ensure at least by 2030, the rate of accidents are reduced at a minimum 50%. But you can even go higher, but this is the goal that we are aiming. And with this, we think that after all the instruments in place, it will be a basis now to even go further and support the country and mobilize the different partners to come support the road safety at the country level. So I'm going to limit my presentation over there. Then my colleague is going to present the situation, just do a picture of the road safety. And we also take the opportunity also to invite you we're going to have a session on 19 at 7:30, so where we can discuss much more the status of road safety in our continent. Thank you so much, Eric, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, David. I think, as I mentioned before, in addition to the Road Safety Charter, there is a lot we need to discuss. The Road Safety Charter being like a legal instrument to help us to advance. But when you look at the decade of action plan, we have a lot of other aspects in terms of infrastructure for safer road users. We need to look at the road, the safer roads as an infrastructure asset. We need to look at other aspects on safer vehicles. We need to look at post-crash management, because we know even before the accidents happen, we need to save lives. So there is a lot we need to discuss under the action plan, and we really need the various ideas for honorable ministers and your teams. So I will call my colleague Binta Sako from WHO to share the current status of road safety in Africa, which will also give us some insights going to our discussion after that. Thank you very much. You have the floor, Binta.
Hello? Yes. Thank you very much, and it's an honor to be here and to give you a snapshot of the situation of road safety in Africa. So, esteemed panelists, honorable ministers, I'm happy to give you here a snapshot. I have 5 minutes, so I'll try to be concise and give you the key highlights. So WHO launched the Global Status Report on Road Safety in 2023. And for this exercise, 170 countries participated and provided data on mortality on the roads. Globally, we see that we are 1.19 million fatalities globally, and it shows a decline of 5%. However, in the African region, we have seen an increase in the number of deaths. Unfortunately, we are also the only region that has seen an increase rather than a decline. When I talk about the African region here, I'm talking about the whole continent, because as you know, WHO on the continent is comprised of the African, Afro, and also the Eastern Mediterranean. So we made an effort to give you a picture of the continent as we move forward. And our continent is a continent of diversity, and of course there are many differences within and between countries. And we have seen some progress, which shows that others can also follow suit. We have 22 countries that have seen a reduction in the number of fatalities since 2010, and this is worth commending and congratulating the countries. In our continent, road fatalities affect mostly men in their in the most productive life years. About 70% are between the ages of 18 and 65. And in our context, that means hardship for the families, for societies, for communities. These are breadwinners who are robbed from their families. It's children who will not be able to go to school. So let's not forget that human face of road, these tragedies on the roads. if we look at this graph that I wanted to share with you, we see that there has been a steady incline on the continent, except for the dip that is attributed to the COVID pandemic. We bear a disproportionate burden in our region because nearly 260,000 estimated deaths. These are WHO estimations, of course, and this represents 30 people every hour who are dying on the streets on the continent. We have the highest rates in the world, and this has been a continuing situation that unfortunately has not changed. And when we say disproportionate burden, we can just compare with our vehicle fleet, which is 4%, and our share of the world fatality is 24. So we immediately see that this is disproportionate. And we can say the same thing about our population size versus the world, or the kilometers of paved roads on the continent versus our share of fatalities. The fatalities are affecting the most vulnerable. We do talk about the vulnerable road users, which are pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcycles, but which represent over 50% already of the fatalities. But I'd really like us to pay attention to the number of pedestrians, which represent 31% of fatalities. And we know that walking is the main mode of transport on our continent. So this is really, I hope it really brings in the urgency to think mobility and to think mobility for all. The report looks at not only the burden in terms of fatalities or injuries, but we also look from the perspective of the safe systems on all the aspects and the pillars of road safety. So we looked at the road user behavior, vehicle safety, the infrastructure, governance, and post-crash response and care. And we see that for all these pillars, we really have much effort to do. There's been a lot of improvements on different sectors, but generally speaking, I think we can all agree that the data shows us that we still have much room for improvement. Sorry. So I'll begin just to give you a few, snapshots of the different areas in terms of road users. Most countries do have laws, but these laws do not follow the best practice and recommendations that WHO has put in place, and other also UN agencies. The same for vehicle safety and road infrastructure. We see that we still have weak regulations with inadequate vehicle inspections or road inspections, and we still have a very old fleet of vehicles that are not following the safety standards that we see in other parts of the world. Mobility is not planned for, so we have not looked at how we can move from car-centric, vehicle-centric, to other modes of transport, other alternatives, public transport being one of them, but also walking and cycling. In terms of governance and data management as well, we see that there's a lot of improvement to be made. Although the majority of countries do have lead agencies, do have national strategies, their implementation is still not at their full potential. And we talk a lot about data regarding WHO estimations and reported data. And what we do see that, although there remains a very, very large gap, we are seeing reduction in these gaps overall, but also in specific countries, there's been progress. Post-crash care remains largely underdeveloped, at the exception of a few countries on the continent. So this is an area that also needs particular attention, be it from the perspective of the pre-hospital. We know that most fatalities occur before even reaching the hospital. So that pre-hospital care response, and also in-hospital rehabilitation services, and making sure that the victims are also supported throughout their ordeal. And this can be a very long-term support that's required from government. So this is really a call to think of not only the prevention, but also in addressing these long-term consequences of car crashes. This is just to give you a snapshot, and as I mentioned, and I think my colleague also mentioned this, we are going to be deep diving into these results of a continental report, and you are all invited to join us on the 19th of February at 7:30 to 8:45 for a deep dive into the results and opportunity to discuss the solutions. I try to make it short and straight to the point, so thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Binta and David. Another round of applause for both presentations. I'm sure in each of these pillars of the African Road Safety Action Plan, we can find African states doing better than others in each of the pillars. So I think this discussion we are going to have is to see where do we have the best practices, where can we emphasize and have the best out of it, how can we share the best practices. But before we go to the Q&A session, I wanted to give the floor to DG Benacel to give us a summary of the Africa-related aspects under the Marrakesh Declaration, so that we can combine it when we do our discussion just a few minutes from now. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Merci pour ces différentes présentations.
Thank you for these presentations. I just would like to remind ourselves of certain elements about road safety and the expected outcomes. It has been the habit that for each world or global ministerial conference on road safety, there is a declaration that bears the name of the city where the conference is held. There was the Moscow Declaration, the Brasilia Declaration, and the Stockholm Declaration, and now we will have the Marrakesh Declaration. The declaration of a ministerial conference defines the global policy for road safety for the next 5 years. Therefore, this is the culmination of what was we take stock of what has been achieved and what will be implemented in the following 5 years. Therefore, it is in a certain way the World Cup of road safety. This is the most important meeting on road safety worldwide. This declaration gives rise to a UN resolution, and this highlights the importance of the declaration. And of course, this declaration will remain in the texts of the United Nations, the official text of the United Nations. The declaration we have today with our friends from the World Health Organization, we have established a high-level consultative or advisory committee that builds on the contribution of international experts as well as representatives of international organizations and a number of representatives of specific countries. This high-level advisory council has met 3 times, twice in Geneva and 1 in Rabat since 2023, and that has made it possible to pave the way for the program of this conference and also to draft or to come up with the first draft of the Marrakesh Declaration. There was also an academic experts working group. A number of academics have also worked and enriched the content of the declaration. As a Moroccan government and as a Kingdom of Morocco, we thought that it was very important to make the most of this conference, which is being held in Marrakesh, that is in Africa, to address the main issues and how we can promote road safety in Africa. Therefore, we look forward to Marrakesh being the voice of Africa as far as road safety issues is concerned. And that is why we wanted to come up with the most important issues that we're facing on road safety, regarding road safety in Africa. As regards this question, there is a major problem of coordination between the different road safety stakeholders, and this was pointed out in the declaration. There's also a data-related problem. The data that is needed, and this is the most important element for the preparation of the strategy. If we do not have quality data, then any strategy or plan that is based on that would be faulty and would lead to objectives that are beneath our expectations. As another element regards funds, it's good to have a strategy, but if we don't have the means to implement that strategy in concrete terms, then it remains ink on paper. And in the declaration, we drew attention to the importance of funding, lack of funding in Africa. And there's a call on the financing banks and to address the question of road safety in Africa. And this question of road safety should not be considered as any investment project. We should not be looking at return on investments and things like that. Therefore, these are some of the most important elements that were highlighted in the declaration. Another aspect that is just as important, and it was mentioned in the ministerial declaration, and that is the offer by the Kingdom of Morocco to come up with an ad hoc committee for the implementation of this declaration. The Kingdom of Morocco also suggests that to hold a midterm conference in about 2.5 years to see what has been implemented. The Kingdom of Morocco, as pointed out by my minister, is ready and willing to cooperate and work with stakeholders and promote cooperation among African countries. And a last aspect that I would like to conclude with is the fact that the Marrakesh Declaration was sent out through our website, www.roadsafety.com, was sent out to our ambassadors throughout the world to share that with the countries of accreditation. We have decided on a deadline of 5th February in order to receive the feedback regarding this Marrakesh Declaration. And we have received feedback from many countries that have supported this declaration. And this was a collaborative exercise. Therefore, today, we have a version of the declaration that has been updated that takes into account the various remarks and comments made by a number of countries throughout the world. And on the website, you have the updated draft declaration, and we have also distributed this declaration to the African ministers and all the heads of African delegations. I think that we have a good opportunity as a continent to make sure that we promote this question of road safety in order to make sure that all the indicators can be worked on and improved, and the indicators that were mentioned by Binta. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Merci beaucoup, cher Benasser. Je voulais...
Dear Benasser, I wanted, through this beautiful presentation of the Marrakesh Declaration, I'd like to thank sincerely, on behalf of the African Economic Community, I'd like to thank the host country for having put together all our ideas for Africa. I wanted just to confirm to the Excellencies that yesterday we had a session for the road safety agencies for technical commissions. We went into technical details, and we also had the same presentation made by Morocco. So if that's the summary of the content of what was going to be in the declaration. We have also been very happy to see that Morocco has been able to coordinate, combine, and summarize all our the work that we did. And as we were saying in the introduction, we need your support, Excellencies. We need your ideas. We need your expertise in the different areas, especially when it comes to national experiences that you have. And with respect to all these challenges that we have in Africa when it comes to road safety. And without further ado, we're going to move to the second session for exchange of ideas and probably a Q&A session on certain points that we have discussed during this session. If you have, I would also like to thank Morocco for having initiated this process, this evaluation process to assess the implementation of this process. And I think we noted with satisfaction this idea of having midterm meetings to see how we are implementing this declaration, because that comes under this national plan for 2023-2030. So now I open the session, the Q&A session. So let's see what ideas you have and what comments you want to make. So thank you very much, and the floor is yours.
Okay. And anything, Honorable Excellence, anything we wanted to add on the declaration?
No, I mean, first of all, I like to thank. J'aimerais remercier.
I'd like to thank all the panelists for their participation. I'd like to thank again Morocco's Ministry of Transport and the Kingdom of Morocco for hosting us and to have especially provided this platform to allow us and enable us to see that what is happening is not normal. So this is an opportunity, a unique opportunity for us to have so many ministers here, leaders, African leaders, leaders from Africa, but from other parts of the world, so that we can talk of what is called a pandemic, a sleeping pandemic. I've had the opportunity during this for this conference. I have a book that I will be distributed to in the upcoming days. It's called The Silent Pandemic on the Road. Silent Pandemic. So the main goal of this meeting is to awaken this pandemic. We have shown statistics that are extremely important. But if we want to bring change, we have to act. We have to take actions. We have examples from the European Union. They're about in the European Union 50 years ago. They had 5 times more victims on the road, victims with less vehicles. So we know what this is. We know what we need to do. We need to do. We need education, applying law, quality of vehicles, quality of roads infrastructure, and the quality of the emergency care. So this is the campaign that we conducted at the level of the United Nations with GCDCO and other celebrities, so that encourage people or try to influence them to buckle their safety belts. This morning we had a demonstration, and we're going to see it in the village, and we had a vehicle. And if you have your seat belt, you are not going to move. But if you don't have your seat belt, you are going to be projected under the car with shield, and then probably you will die. You will be just so. Seat belts, helmets. I've talked about this in my introduction. We'll show you the helmets, and these are something that was developed and in connection with UNEC. So these are helmets that are validated by UN, and ventilated. This is very important because we know the atmospheric condition, and they're sold for less than 20 American dollars. We have to bring in the private sector. We saw the representative in Honda. I think that each motorcycle that is sold should be sold automatically with 2 helmets. There's no other choice. I think this is something that I'm going to talk about with my friend, Minister of Transport in Morocco. They could compel the motorcycle sellers to sell them with 2 validated helmets, and this is a game changer. We know that more than 30% of the victims are victims of cyclists and motorcyclists. Binta has shown this. 30% of our pedestrians, because not good lighting, distraction, use of the phone. So I was saying, seatbelt, helmets, respect of speed limits, compliance with the speed limits, that's also important. The use of the phone, which is a distractor. We have to control all this, and this is water, and alcohol kills. So that also has to be controlled. So in fact, we know what we need to do and what we have to do. And of course, given your positions, your high positions, I think you have the responsibility and the power to make things change and to bring change. And this is the goal of this meeting, how we're going to be able, by working together as a team, an exceptional team, how can we bring change? As a special envoy of the Secretary General of the United Nations, I will affirm again that I am here to help.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Excellency. Do we have other comments? Okay. I would like to just add something that is very important. We had a presentation from the Observatory EXO. And for me, this is also a game changer. Having an observatory, there's one in Africa, there's one in South Africa, in South America, one in Asia, which is hosted at the Asian Development Bank. So with that, again, we can work together on observatories. Having observatories is a nice thing, but for me, an observatory should be listening to your needs. I think these observatories need to have more responsibilities. We have to entrust them with more responsibilities, empower them, and listen to what they have to say. So I'll see with them how we can coordinate the work that is done in different countries. And here again, we think we need to work more with the people who are responsible for all the regional observatory. Thank you, Excellency. And I just wanted to confirm that within the Commission of the African Union, we have put in place a technical commission, which is based in Addis Ababa, and it is going to be created this secretariat of the observatory. And among the priority activities that we're going to have, we will look at mobilization, capacity building of the National Coordinator for Data Collection. This is going to be the priority action. We have already a team that is in place, and as you well said, we're working with the countries in order to have an observatory that is not going to be only a physical place, but that is going to work with the different countries.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Mine goes to the World Bank, the World Health Organization. One of the biggest causes of road crashes and deaths, especially in countries where motorcycles are a big transport means, is head crashes. Head crash. However, even as I was walking on the streets today, you see different kinds of head protection. Can we have a standard which is you'll find some people put on even helmets which are for building, and it's is it possible to have a standard helmet which would not only protect the head but also be functional, as opposed to people just putting on something on the head? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe we can take more interventions, and then we can make some reaction. And yeah, yes, please, Honorable Minister or the delegation from.
Good evening to all. My name is Salif Ara Tyler. I'm the Transport Minister of Liberia. I went through the document, this document here, but we can do all in documents, and if we don't put funding activities in there, I don't know whether we can achieve that document. Specifically, I thought there would be more details in how African countries attract funding. The way I see this is the way we do in Liberia, specifically. Two things we do. Every vehicle register, there's a little fee there that is attached for road safety programs. It goes directly to the road fund. For example, we divide all of our vehicles into A, B, C, and D series. It's not much. If you register an A series vehicle, we charge $3. If you register in a B series vehicle, we charge $6. And it goes on incrementally all the way to the bigger trucks. So we believe many African countries could emulate this. And not only that, if we are applying for funding from the World Bank or from other people on road safety programs, we can say, hey, we understand the situation ourselves. We've been raising money as ourselves. Can you reach out to us? You have this. But before somebody come and help you, the Liberian adage says you must help yourself first. So we believe other African countries can tap into that. And we also do some of those on our Axolo programs, where we have a PPP initiative with an organization, and all of the funding that's supposed to go to government revenue goes directly to the National Road Fund, which fund road safety activities. So I thought other African countries could hear this, and maybe this could be something that we can adapt throughout Africa. Thank you.
Much, Honorable Minister from Liberia. This is, I think, more of a contribution on the best practices. Yes.
Merci. Je voudrais simplement compléter la question posée par le...
The question raised by the representative of Liberia. My question is simply to ask the Director General of NARSA in Morocco to share with us their experience as far as funding is concerned, that is at domestic level, and beyond the presentation made earlier. How does it go as far as funding in Morocco is done? Do the insurances contribute? Do they get anything from gas and things like that? How is it done? Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Maybe we can have a last question.
Yeah, avant de continuer, après, maybe mes collègues vont réagir. Maybe I will start with Binta, and any reaction from the three questions? Yes. Oh, okay, Binta, sorry for, let's take the last intervention. Honorable Minister, Benin. We need the microphone. Anyone from the team, can we get a microphone for?
J'ai suivi les présentations.
I have followed the presentations made, and then I've noticed that to address this issue of road safety, we have to work on certain things such as education, legislation, the quality or vehicle quality, infrastructure quality, and the quality of the response, post-crash response. And this means that we have to come up with a lot of financial resources in order to address these road safety issues. So my question is, what can we do in order to come up with this question or to address effectively this question of funding? If we work in terms of prevention and create less problems, then that means we will need less funds elsewhere. And that is why in Benin, we try to work on the two-wheelers. They are the ones who create most problems as far as road safety is concerned. And they intermingle with other vehicles. And the question is, how can we establish a hierarchy as far as the road network is concerned? Maybe we should, in certain road sections, we would not accept the two-wheelers, and in others, we would. In tertiary roads, we could have the two roads, and that is what we have been trying to implement in the declaration of Marrakesh. Maybe we could mention this. Can we maybe address this question of having dedicated segments of the road network to the two-wheelers? If we manage to distinguish between these different vehicles and motorcycles and cycles, if we establish a separation between them as far as road use is concerned, I think we should be able to solve problems. Thank you very much, distinguished Minister from Benin, for your contribution.
Questions, please.
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you for all your questions. I'd like to address the issue that you raised, Honorable Minister, from Uganda around the motorcycles, and I think this is a growing concern in most African countries. Initially, it was mostly Eastern Africa, but now we see that even in the coastal areas, Benin, Togo, we're registering really very high deaths with motorcycle users, and wearing a helmet is one of the solutions, right? But as you say, with good standards. So what we see in our data at WHO is that all those, there are laws mandating the use of helmets. The standards are where the weakness is, and partners from different organizations are really working very hard to help setting those standards. There's still many challenges, but I think in the coming years we're really going to see a lot of progress. As a matter of fact, in Kigali, very recently with the FIA Foundation, there was a setup of a center for testing helmets, and I know there are other initiatives by different partners, and I think also John Todd here may be able to talk about his initiative around helmets. So I think, when we have the data that actually shows that this is a major issue, all efforts will converge towards finding solutions. And maybe just to rebound on what you mentioned about the solution, that you're proposing, I think it's important that we look at our context and that we really see what are the solutions that can come from our, what we live. I lived in Burkina Faso, and in Burkina, it used to be a country of bicycles, and now it's shifted to become a country of motored two-wheelers, and they have their own methods, and they are lanes, so it's not perfect, but they found a solution that works for them. So I think we have to try and see and use all your innovations, share them with us, so that we can have really a toolkit of best practices, because there are many. I know I showed such a very negative picture, but there are many good initiatives locally. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Binta. Any reaction from David on the questions on especially registration and finance from Honorable Ministers Liberia and also, yeah, I think even Benin mentioned on the funding as well. David?
I think, bon, je ne peux pas en français, mais merci, Monsieur le...
You, Excellency, Mr. Minister. I think you summarized this very well. So, of course, we've had a drop of road accidents, although we have not invested much. That's we're using the resources that we have in the country, but this is also a commitment at a national level. And the proposal is to be put within this declaration. In fact, we're going to share it with the Kingdom of Morocco, which has the authority to do that. For the road level, the standardization, there is a protocol that is already established so that to have the minimum in the framework of our governance project for road safety. So we need to harmonize those measures. We have at continental level, we have indicators for road classifications. This is going to, of course, enable each country to implement them in compliance with their own legislation, because we have now issued the recommendations, and we think that this is going to facilitate the way we can drive on our roads in compliance with our standards.
To Benasel on the issue of declaration. We are concluding the questions and then we give you the floor.
Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of the proposal to include in the declaration, it's a brilliant proposal from Honorable Minister. So maybe Benasel, how practical can we do this into the Marrakesh Declaration? Thank you.
Merci, Eric. Just for the question concerning infrastructures and funding, I think that when it comes to infrastructures, what is most important is that we have norms and standards to comply with. I think, as we have discussed it yesterday at the technical level between the people responsible of road safety agencies, we have always blame the responsibility for road users. We say they do not respect the speed limits. They're the ones who use the phones while driving, drink driving. But we have neglected all too often the role of governments concerning the infrastructure, quality infrastructure. Quality infrastructure, when it applies with the norms, can change the behavior of the road user. This is why at the level of a declaration we have mentioned, we have referred to the need to have infrastructures that comply with the international standards. We now have an international system which enables us to classify roads on the basis of their security level and safety level. I think another element that was integrated in the declaration is to insist on the collaboration and cooperation among African countries. This is going to enable us to exchange best practices and to generalize the standards of road safety, taking into consideration the similarities between countries, which are sometimes very important at the level of African countries. If we take these similarities into consideration at level, economic, social, cultural, and others, if there is one success story in a given country, there are great chances that it will be successful, that we'll have success in another country. Now, concerning funding, I think that at the level in the Kingdom of Morocco, we have an experience that guarantees the sustainability of the funding for road safety. This is a very interesting experience. When we set up the National Agency for Road Safety, we have put in place a funding mechanism that is sustainable and which is independent from state, because we have certain para-fiscal measures for the industrial sector, the car sectors, the technical control agencies, and all the taxes on services to the road users, especially license registration, driving permit. So this experience is something that we can share with you if you are interested in seeing how we do work on funding road safety measures. Thank you very much. I just wanted to add that this idea of having, we always have an opportunity to, at the level of the work we can do at the observatories, and also the points which my colleagues have just mentioned, the harmonizations of the transport regulations. I think this is an opportunity that we have in order to use this idea for all the transport network for road classification. So this is how we can deal with, we have to define we have to have a continental programs to harmonize the regulations on our road network, and then we can bring this idea that you have mentioned, and then we can further discuss them with the technical teams to see to what extent we can include them within our continental policies. I think that beside the Marrakesh Declaration, we can discuss these points in our discussions.
And Honorable Minister, we can give you the few comments, and we also close the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eric. I wanted just to interfere with the most intervention of my colleague, ministers African. Je parlerai en français.
I'm going to speak in French, especially for a proposal that I want to make, and I think it's a timely suggestion. I have followed with my friend Jean Todt, the envoy of the UN General Secretary for Road Safety. I have just been appointed as a minister. I have been as a minister for 3 months. I met him when we were preparing this meeting, and I met him for the first time in Geneva. And I was happy to get to know him and to share with him his international experience as far as road safety is concerned, as well as the solutions that he has brought to some countries, especially Cambodia and other countries that have taken decisions, in fact, that are not very costly, but which have had great impact, especially this one on the helmets, and also the development of helmets that are referenced, that are not very heavy, that are ventilated, and which are not very costly. This does not exist everywhere. These kind of helmets do not exist everywhere. I know that he's going to present his experience as he did this morning. And as for myself, on behalf of the Ministry of Transports and Logistics in Morocco, I commit to making it compulsory to buy 2 helmets when you buy a motorcycle. This is a commitment that I take here. And I hope that other transport authorities and bodies are going to follow the same path, and that they will make it mandatory to buy helmets while you buy a motorcycle. So this is something that it does not cost much. Motorcycles are not very costly. It's between $1,000 and $1,500, and I think you can afford to buy helmets, and they're not too expensive when it comes to saving lives. Now, concerning another point, and after Mr. Lajoule's presentation, we talked about Morocco's choice of setting up an agency for management of road safety. So besides the government's supervisory authority, I think this approach is something that I presented in Geneva, and I'm going to again discuss it here with you, dear colleagues. We have to think seriously for the countries that do not have an agency for road safety. I was in a politician, and I had 6 mandates as a politician. But as a Minister of Transport, this is a political position also. But the work on road safety is a technical issue. I think it deserves to have, if we want to have a vision, a long-term vision with respect to road safety, it is important for road safety that we It's preferable to create agencies that are tasked with road safety. Of course, they are under the ministry, the authority of the Ministry of Transport. But the issue of road safety, when it is an agency that is entrusted with authority, ministers can change, but the road safety remains in the hands of technicians that apply the government policy, the state policy, and the agreements for international corporations that aim at saving lives. So this is a proposal that I'm making here to my dear colleagues. Thank you for your attention. I would like, before the end of this session, I would like to ask my friend Jean-Claude to present to us an experience. If cameraman can come over here, bring the camera over here, and we are going to see the experience of Jean-Claude. We have to show you, make a demonstration for you. So I'm going to show you a helmet that was given to me when I went to Thailand a few months ago, while your colleague, the Minister of Transport, and I had this helmet analyzed in the lab. So you can see, as you can see, how the head is designed. This is the head of the driver. If the person was wearing this helmet when they had an accident, and this is the helmet that I spoke about. This is ventilated and had cost only less than $20. I'm going to drop it here on the floor and see what happens. Nothing happens. Very solid. Let's drop it again. This is a live demonstration. Now look at this helmet now. الناس عارفينه بعد مزوق مع راسه.
Excellency Minister, we have last but not least our partner World Health Organization, Mr. Etienne Krug, some closing remarks. Please, you have the floor.
Just to take because I have to leave.
Yes, yes, please.
Je suis désolé parce que j'ai un rendez-vous.
Sorry, I have a meeting, a bilateral meeting. I have to leave before the end of this meeting. But I invite you all, dear colleagues, with your delegation. I invited you to a dinner this evening at a restaurant named Suleiman. The presidency is going to indicate to you the venue so that the driver can drive you over there at 8:15 to have dinner and to taste Moroccan food. Thank you.